and we are on Laravel 7 MVC. And in the last episode, we understand that how view and controller are connected and how user can visit any route and then see something via controller. But now we need to move towards the model, and it's not very direct way because model is going to interact with the database. And firstly, if you are new to Laravel, then you should think that setting up database connection is very difficult thing. But with Laravel, everything is a breeze, everything is very simple. So how we can connect to a database? So first you need to create a database, and whether you are using PHP MyAdmin or any other way of using MySQL, then you know that how you can create a simple database. So here I'm using this SQL Pro in Mac, and maybe if you are on Windows you can use PHP MyAdmin and you can simply create a database. I have created the database called test database, and you can see we don't have any table inside this database. Okay, but how we can connect to the database? And make sure you installed the MySQL so that we can interact with it. Now what we need to do to connect to the database, it's very easy. You just need to open .env file. Inside this .env file, you can see, if you scroll down, we have a DB settings, and this DB settings is just put the settings and you are good to go. No need to configure anything else. Our database name is test. It is having a root of username. Password is password for me. Maybe you have some other password. And then make sure whenever you make change in .env file, you need to restart the server. So press Ctrl C, quit from server, and then start PHP artisan serve. Okay, so because we have changed the .env file, we have restarted the server. This means we are now connected. And you will say, Sarthak, how do I know that I am connected? Now we need to migrate. And what the heck is migrate thing? Okay, so now because Laravel is very friendly to developer, inside this database directory, you can see we have 3 directory, and this migrations directory is the important thing we are going to talk about. In this migrations directory, we have a 2 file, and which is having a weird kind of name, but this file is actually responsible to create a table inside our database. And the table structure or the schema of table is this. So we are going to create, this file is going to create a user table, actually a users table. And see this, there is a connection is app, and the model name is user, and the table it's creating is users. So it is very important to name your model as a singular and your table as a plural, which is very important. It's not mandatory, you can override this behavior, but if you use this is a very good way of creating the database, or also recommended. So as I told you, this file is responsible to create the table inside our database. Similar to this will create a users table with name, email verified, password, and remember token timestamps. Then we have another table called failed job. Why we are having this migration, we will talk about later in this course. Cool. So how we can create tables inside the database? We don't have some magical thing, but we have remember we have a magical thing which is PHP artisan. So now once again we can say PHP artisan, hit enter, and one more command we have. So you can see that for everything in Laravel we have a command. So now we have a migrate command. So if we say PHP artisan migrate, then just say migrate, not all these things. We will talk about these things later. So just say migrate, it will check all these files inside this migrations directory, then read the schema or the structure of the table you are going to create, and then create the same table inside your database. So database is empty now. Let's run this. So php artisan migrate, just this, hit enter, and you can see it says two tables are migrated. One is users table, another is jobs table, failed jobs table. And if I refresh this, you can see we have a 3. But why we have a 3? It says just migrated 2, but we have a 3. This one is migrations, which take care about, which have the record of all the migrations. So why this is beneficial? So you have seen that by running this php artisan migrate command, it can migrate, it can create the table. What if I run this command once again? If I hit enter, now it says nothing to migrate. How do Laravel or Artisan know that these tables are already migrated? That information comes from this migrations table. So when we're running this migrate command, then Laravel just check inside this and it says that okay, these two migrations are already ran, so we don't have to do anything, and that's why it says nothing to migrate. So now we have the tables and we know that how we can migrate. This means every user is now ready to interact with its table, users table. So now, as I told you before, user model or every model is going to interact with database. And which table it's going to interact? So user singular, user model singular model going to interact with the plural form of its table name. So we have a user model. So user model, it's going to interact with users table. Suppose you have a student model, then student model is going to interact with students table on the database. So this is how the migration and this schema of Laravel connecting to database works inside this Laravel 7. Once again, still more things are there on this MVC part, on the model part, because model is super important thing in MVC part, and we will do these things in the next episode.